Hello, listeners, and welcome back to Stuttering Through Life, the podcast that's all about stuttering. I'm your host, Kyung Lee. Now, this episode is a continuation of sorts from the previous episodes, so we have Sophie on.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Sophie. It's great to talk to you again.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Woohoo!
Right. So, in the previous episode, we talked about just Sophie's stuttering journey in general and her experience with speech therapy and her really cool experience with Friends, the stuttering organization. So if you haven't listened to that, I highly recommend listening to that first before this one. Anyway, so this episode, I know it's we're gonna do like a little time jump from when you were like 15 to pretty recently. And you told me that you did your undergrad with a major in psychology with 2 double minors, right?
Yes, I did.
All right, yeah. So I'd love to hear more about what it was like doing your minors and your major and what kind of things you learned from it.
Yeah, of course. So I always knew that I wanted to go into like a helping profession. I think that's just like who I am. I love like volunteering and like that kind of stuff. So psychology was kind of like a perfect general major for me. And so when it came to a minors, I was like, ooh, like Chapman has a disability studies minor. And I was like, that is literally the most perfect minor for me. I'm like so fascinated with the different communities. And I was like, I just I felt like it would like help me become an amazing speech therapist one day. And so I locked that down, and then I was like, ooh, like what about like education? And so I added on the like education minor, and I truly feel like the education and the disability studies minor made my experience at Chapman not not only did I learn a lot, but the professors gave me so many like amazing resources to grow. So I started volunteering with this organization called L'Arche, and it's a home for like adults with the developmental disabilities. And I would go like every week, and I would just do common daily activities, and that's where I truly found my like passion for working with with adults with different needs. I feel like people usually kind of judge individuals for like having different needs, but I find it to be like, oh my gosh, it's kind of making me gravitate more like towards like them, because they have so much to say and like share, and their life stories just constantly fascinated me. And so that was an amazing experience, and I did that for 2.5 years.
Oh,
so
wow.
That was amazing. And then through the disabilities studies minor, like also I got the opportunity to get a job with an organization that does assistive technology work. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like perfectly related toward like speech therapy. And there I was like, wow, people truly communicate in a different forms. Like,
Yeah.
no matter if it's through verbal communication, the like iPads, through like a paper communication board, through like a keychain, where like and I was like a word corresponding to like a picture. It just made me like realize that there's so many more ways someone can communicate. And so I found a true passion in that just sector of the field. And I don't know, the minors really gave me such an amazing platform to grow and see the disability through like another lens. And growing up with this with a stutter, I mean, it was a challenging to be a part of the a a minority and to face a discrimination and like that kind of stuff. But I
Yeah.
feel like those those experiences gave me that much more of a thicker skin to be like, hey, like look at me now, and I'm following my uh, 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 my like dreams. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, you must have a lot. You must have had a lot on your plate, but it's great how you could explore your passions like that. And I think it's so amazing that you're pursuing your dream of becoming a speech therapist, and I know you're gonna be great.
Thank you.
Yeah. And yeah, so it seems like Chapman University in California has amazing programs for these kinds of things. So after your undergrad at Chapman, what are you planning to do next?
So I'm currently in a post baccalaureate program where like I'm doing the prerequisite courses for graduate school, and I actually got into a graduate program at the University of Colorado Boulder, and
Oh wow, nice.
yeah, I'm so
Congratulations.
excited.
Yeah, it's so great.
And I'm gonna be studying speech language pathology, and I recognize that is gonna be extremely difficult. But I I've personally never left Orange County, and so I feel like at the jump to a Colorado is gonna be a like huge growing opportunity for me. I'm
Mhm.
actually going to graduate school with like my one of my like best friends, and it's just like the stars really like aligned for me and like
That's
Boulder.
great. Yeah.
It works, so I'll be flying out to Boulder no, early August, and I'm gonna be
Mhm.
starting starting their program for 2 years, and then I'll be a speech therapist.
Wow, yeah. Oh, that sounds so soon.
Oh my
Well, yeah, it's gonna be great. Yeah, it's gonna be great. Um, yeah, I feel like people who stutter are one of, if not the best people to help people to help people who also have stutters, right? Because we've gone through that and we know what it's like, and there's nothing better than understanding.
No, for sure. And like something I didn't want to like bring up is you know, people sometimes question our like abilities because
Mhm.
we speak a different way, but we have to like think about like we're perfectly capable. And that kind of goes back to that education piece where
Mhm.
we're not a lot of people are knowledgeable on like on stuttering and its fluency. And
Yeah.
so I'll probably come in contact with a few clients that are not going to want to no work with me, but that is like the perfect opportunity to like educate. I'm like perfectly capable. I can communicate to just fine. It's just a different form of a communicating, right?
Yeah, totally. Like I don't hear you like not saying anything, you know what I mean? Like yeah, we can all say, we all know what we're gonna say, and we all know how we want to say it. It's just a different way, like you said.
Absolutely. And we are great communicators. I like to to like think of stuttering kind of makes people more engaged in the conversation because
Yeah.
we sound so cool.
Yeah, and it's interesting.
Very fascinating, right?
Yeah. And I'm so glad someone like you is endeavoring to go into the realm of speech therapy, because like I said, it's a great education opportunity for your future clients who stutter, and especially for kids, like if they or when they see you being all professional and like know exactly what to do, like that's going to be so inspiring, and I know you're going to change like a lot of lives in the future, of
One
course.
day, one
Yeah,
day.
very soon, pretty soon. Anyway, going back a little bit, you told me a little bit about this teaching job you have, and I found it really interesting and really cool. So please tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, of course. So, so this was kind of like a funny story. So I applied for like a job as an instructional aide, and I was like, oh yeah, like I'd be paired with like a teacher, and be like a support system, right? And
Mhm.
so, like a few months into the job, I was like, okay, just like minding my own business. And then my schedule changed to me running a whole kindergarten classroom.
Oh my goodness.
And so, being a person who like stutters, for me, I was terrified of a public speaking.
Yeah, it's a hard.
Right? It's
Mhm.
it's pretty terrifying. And so within a span of like a few days, I was like put in a classroom, and then these these kids are like, Miss Sophie, why do you sound so funny? And then like I had to figure out like a way to be like, oh yeah, we all communicate differently, and that's perfectly okay because like no 5-year-olds, they're not going to understand stuttering. And so
Yeah.
I had to find a way to kind of integrate inclusivity and acceptance in valuing our differences and to a a, a conversation.
Mhm.
So that was really like a turning point, and now like my students are the absolute best. Like going to work every day and like seeing like their little faces, and they're like they're like Miss uh, 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 Miss like Sophie, you're the best teacher ever. And just
Oh.
like that really makes me like realize like kids do not care like how you talk. They care
Yeah.
how, like, sure, like they're gonna say like, oh, like why do you sound funny, but they don't know. And so like once like you like educate them, by that point they're so resilient, and they're so kind, and
Mhm.
it's just the most amazing transition job for me, and I'm gonna miss them so much when I go off to graduate school. But my uh uh my job is definitely giving me the skills to work with like all populations later on in life, and
Yeah.
it's been a fun journey.
Yeah, I'm so glad you can um like have an impact on these kids like this, even if it's just one class. It's amazing how like this classroom of kids will at such a young age, they they'd have met in they'd have met an adult who stutters, and maybe when they grow up they'll realize, oh, Miss Sophie, my my kindergarten teacher stuttered, and they'll know how you were capable of anything you wanted to do. And yeah, it's just it's just great.
Yeah, it's, I mean, never, never in a million years did I think I'd be doing this for sure. But I think that the school is just like the most amazing place where 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 like I can go out of my comfort zone and they'll still support me.
Right.
And like the kids, um, no, like I said, maybe if I was like doing a fourth or like a fifth grade classroom, that would be a different story.
Yeah.
But like the kindergartners really changed my perspective on like and respect for teachers and like running a kindergarten classroom. Like I have a primary teacher that gives me the like lesson plan,
Right.
but just running a classroom with like seven or like eight students, and the challenge of like trying to separate your like time and like per kid is really time management at its finest.
Right, it really is. Yeah, teachers and
They're
teachers of mhm. Yeah, teachers of all grades should be respected so much. Just the work they do is amazing. And
Well, shout out to like all of the like educators out there, because
Mhm.
you were all like amazing individuals.
Yes,
Absolutely.
for sure. Like, um, I feel like school is one of the places where a lot of like hardship and like bullying can happen. But at the same time, school is the place for so much inclusivity, like you said, and people and kids and people that are so different can come together and be together and do the same things. And educators and teachers that facilitate this diversity, and yeah, and teachers that bring out the uniqueness in each student should be praised so much.
It's definitely fascinating. Like during my like interview with like the school, that was actually one of my prominent themes. I was like, hey, like these kids, it's gonna be like a good a good like for them uh, to to like have like an educator that speaks differently, so they
Yeah,
recognize that everyone communicates differently. The like earlier we expose them to to differences, the more inclusive they're going to be later on in life.
exactly. Yeah, and that's how we change the world with the younger generation and when they grow up. Yeah.
Praise that.
Mhm. Right. So, just one last topic for the day. Um, so Sophie is writing a children's book with her friend about stuttering, and I thought this was the best thing ever because I remember I have seen a few children's book about stuttering, and I don't know if I was looking in the right places, but there weren't that many. But I'm very glad you're writing this. So please tell us a little bit about this and how it's going.
Yeah, of course. So a couple years ago, I was I was I was I was like on a plane coming home from a stuttering conference, friends, and we were flying from Chicago back to Los Angeles,
Mhm.
and I was like, oh my gosh, um, um the the metaphor of like flying perfectly tells tells like the story of like stuttering. And so we have to like think about like a flight, and you do not know when there's gonna be turbulent parts, but like but but like ultimately we're gonna get to the final destination. We're like always gonna come through, and we're always gonna get through it, no matter if you're having smooth speech or like bumpy speech, and like so on. And so
Right.
I was like, oh my gosh, this would be the perfect children's book, because like stuttering is a little difficult to kind of explain to kids, as I said previously.
Yeah.
And so me and my one of my like best friends, Bella, we became friends my freshman year, and we were in the same like math class, and we just became super close because we were doing math every single day together, and we got through math. So that's
Yeah.
positive, right? And so she's actually a creative writing major, and so
Oh,
she's
wow.
very creative. She knows the different ways to kind of formulate my thoughts into like a children's book form. And so we got to together, and like we're throwing out different ideas, and like we're like, okay, like we're gonna integrate the concept of safari animals, and explain stuttering through the different voices of safari animals. And that's
Oh,
what we did.
that's
And
really cute.
thank you. And we're currently in the process of like trying to find like an agent. So if anyone knows of an agent, please reach out to me. It's like way more difficult than I thought it was gonna be. But yeah, me and Bella, it's been been an amazing journey, and I'm so fortunate to a friend who has the like ability to like to express stuttering in a way the younger individuals can like understand it. And
Right.
so that is in the process of of publishing, once like we find an agent and like that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. If there's, yeah, totally. If there's any listeners out there who is an agent or knows an agent, just send me an email and I will hook you up with Sophie so fast, and it'll be great. You won't regret it. Trust me.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah. Well, that's all we got for today. Thank you so much for talking with me, Sophie. It's been so great, and you are such an amazing role model and example of how someone who stutters can just overcome anything they want and just become whatever you aspire to be.
Well, cute. Like, cute. Young, you're the best, and thank you so much for like having me. It's been an absolute a pleasure doing this like podcast, and if like anyone ever wants to reach out to me, I would love to like hear your 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 like stories, and like, hey, like maybe we can do like something that down the line. So
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Maybe we can do like a 3-way podcast episode or something. That'd be great.
that'd be so amazing. I'd be so down to like do that.
All right, that sounds great. Listeners, as always, thank you for listening, and thank you for continuing to support this podcast. It honestly means so much to me. And yeah, and I hope you enjoyed this 2-part episode, and I hope you enjoyed Sophie's story. Thanks, Sophie.
Thank you so much. See you all later.
Bye.
Bye.